So here it is, the second half of the film. We then begin by seeing Bill arrive in a taxi. He visits his brother's grave and then clashes with the clown.
Take your pick, Billy boy.
Here, Pennywise hints that one of the group is dead by showing him 7 graves with one already filled up.
I remember you, and I remember we beat you. I'm not afraid of you.
Bill then makes his way over to the library where he meets Mike. They then go back to his house, have a beer, and then ride a bike. It's amazing what alcohol can do to you. Richie then drives into town and notices that his name is on the old Paramount Theatre, courtesy of Pennywise, of course. He then rushes into the library looking for Mike, but of course he's a little preoccupied at the moment, so he's not there. Richie then sits down and waits whilst drinking a cup of water and looking up the librarian. Richie then looks up to see Pennywise the clown, taunting him with blood balloons and bad jokes. He then tries to explain to the librarian that he has to go, but that is easier said than done, as he can hardly hear himself over the hysterical clown.
If you see...
Excuse me, sir. Do you have Prince Albert in a can? You do? Well, you better let the poor guy out.
This scene is by far my favourite. It's hilarious. Give it a watch. Bill and Mike then finally get off the bike, just for Bill to clumsily drop a pack of cards all over the floor. They then look down and see the clown on the back of all the cards. Spooky. Ben then arrives and goes down to the Barrens for a short while to bring back some old memories. He then sees a skeleton standing in the swamp and then suddenly disappears. He then gets rattled by a hobo and then continues to make his way to town. Along the way he encounters Pennywise at the side of the road trying to hitchhike. A balloon then appears in his face and warns him to turn back. He's been warned.
I wasn't gonna hurt you. I don't even know you.
We then see Eddie walking into the pharmacy to get a new cartridge for his inhaler. There he meets the old pharmacy shop owner, who tried to tell young Eddie years ago that it was only water in the cartridge and that he's not really ill. But of course at the time he never listened. He then tries to thank him for being honest in the past, but is then grabbed by him with a monstrous hand. The man then takes on the voice of the clown and warns him to stay away.
Mr. King, please.
Beware, little Eddie. Beware, girly boy.
Eddie then leaves the shop. As he does, the scene changes to Beverly outside her old house. She rings the bell and waits for an answer. An old lady then answers the door, so Beverly apologises and explains that she must have misread the sign. The old lady then invites her in for a cup of tea. "Oh no, not the creepy granny! Don't go in the house, just walk away! No good will come out of it, walk away!" Beverly then agrees and walks in. Ah! She then looks around at the house, falls asleep in the bathroom and gets given a cup of tea. She then notices that the old lady is drinking her tea very strangely, and her teeth appears to be turning black. She then looks at her own cup and sees that it's full of blood. She then drops it on the floor and the old lady turns into her dad.
I worry about you, Bevy. I worry a lot.
He chases her out of the house and she runs away briefly, almost getting hit by a truck before turning around and seeing Pennywise. To her shock, the house is now boarded up and out of use, so everything she saw was of course just the workings of the clown. We then see a balloon bouncing itself down the street before cutting to Bill's wife making a phone call to book a flight to the United States. We then see the group meeting up at a restaurant where Bill shares a very intimate kiss with Beverly. Has Bill forgot he's married? You don't kiss anyone like that if you've got a partner, other than your partner. Disgraceful. Anyway, they all have dinner, play with fish and catch up on past times. As they do, we then see a much older Henry Bowers, the leader of the Hard Nut Wannabes, in a psychiatric unit, where he is told by the clown to go and kill the remaining 6 of the group. Meanwhile, the group each gets a nasty surprise in their fortune cookies. They then leave the restaurant and head back to the library, where they meet Stan's head and Mike fails at shutting the refrigerator door. Various activities then happen before they finally leave the library and head for a hotel. We then return to Henry, who with a little guidance from his dead friend Belch tries to break out.
Belch.
Why is he called Belch? I see. They then head towards the security guard where Pennywise kills him by transforming his head into that of a dog's. Okay. That's then followed by yet another shitty shot that goes on far too long. We then move on to the group at the hotel where they discuss all the killings in the history of the town. Beverly thinks that the whole town are involved because when Mike was talking about the killings in class, their teacher wasn't interested. Also, when she was attacked by the hard nut wannabes, the man across the street just turned away and didn't help. Not quite Sherlock Holmes, is she? We then see Bill's wife now in the area where she stops at a gas station and gets taken by the clown.
Don't you want it?
Back at the hotel, Mike gets attacked by Henry. He gets stabbed and fights for his life. Meanwhile, Ben goes to get Beverly's gown for her, but then she appears upstairs with him. They begin to kiss and hug, but of course nothing is how it seems, as when Ben pulls away from her, he sees that it was actually Pennywise the whole time.
Kiss me, bad boy.
He then runs off and notices that Mike's in trouble. Ben and Eddie then rush in and stop Henry, causing him to stab and kill himself. They then rush Mike to the hospital, leaving Henry's dead corpse behind. Mike then gives Bill the silver earrings from the past. They then hug and go off to the sewer to find the monster. Well, not without covering Henry's dead body, of course. So how do they plan on killing it? Ah, I see, with a catapult and a couple of earrings. The only guy that's talking sense here is Richie.
I still say we should have brought a machine gun.
A machine gun, yeah, that's what I would have brought. Down in the sewer, they encounter Bill's dead brother, who guides them to the clown's lair with his paper boat. We then see everyone comforting Eddie after he announces that he's still a virgin. Not in the book, he's not. They then go to the lair and discover that the clown's real form is actually that of a giant, dodgy, bug-like creature. Now, if you've read the book, then this doesn't come to that much of a shock. However, in the book it does actually state that it's a giant spider, not a giant cockroach scorpion piece of shit. It sucks. It looks more stupid than scary. Anyway, the others get drawn into the light caused by the creature, so Eddie tries to save the day but quickly fails. Beverly then catapults the silver into the monster's light, causing it to explode. The creature then drops Eddie, and despite falling perfectly, he dies. The others then chase the weakened monster, kick it over and rip its heart out. As the monster dies, Bill saves his wife, and they all leave the sewer. Then, Ben and Beverly run off together, Richie continues in showbiz, Mike thinks about moving, and Bill brings his now crippled wife back to life by riding his bike down a hill. The end. So there we are, the two-part television film, It. And what can I say? It is shit. The only thing worth watching are the clown moments, and even they're not long enough. I think the biggest issue with this film is it cuts too much out the book. I mean, yeah, sure, the book was disturbing, but that's what made it good. I mean, I understand why the filmmakers didn't include the sexual intercourse scenes with the kids, but why didn't they include the rest of the elements in the book, like Belch getting half his face torn off by the Frankenstein monster, or Patrick getting decapitated? That would have been awesome compared to them being taken by a white light. Sure, maybe they couldn't get the rights for the monster, but still, couldn't they have thought of something better than a light? And what is it with everyone referring to the lights as dead lights? You know, did they first think of headlights because they're bright, but then replace head with dead because it rhymes and because the light kills people and, you know, I don't know. All I know is that the name's okay, but do they honestly have to say it every single time?
I'm in the deadlights.
It's deadlights. Deadlights. Deadlights.
Deadlights.
Dead lights.
Overall, this film, if you want to call it that, strays far from the book. There's a lot it does include, but there's a hell of a lot more it doesn't, and that's not always a good thing. And for that reason, I give it a 6 out of 10. And that's only because Pennywise is the shit.
He thrust his
He thrusts his fist against the post and still insists he sees the ghosts. That's all it says over and over and over again.
My mom gave me that to say to help with my stutter.
No offense, pal. It ain't helping.
What?